Right, folks. Today on the Agency Excellence Show, I'm excited to host Simon Gray, founding partner at G&G, Gray and Gustafsson, where he's crafted brand identity and digital experiences for the past, well, with over 35 years of experience. Simon, coming on the show today.
Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate that. It's always great to talk about things, especially when you have, at my age, when you have so much experience and are still doing it in a big way. So you see the similarities between things and how everything is connected. But we love what we do. So be happy to talk about it.
Awesome. So, over 35 years of experience in the agency space, what do you feel is like the number one growth lever that's made all the difference for you throughout these years?
Well, I have to say this that no one in our company over 35 years has ever come from an agency. We're made up of it's a ragtag team, and it always has been made up of business owners and merchants, designers, anyone that is able to meet our criteria, which is to be able to recognize things and be able to discern between what is good, what is bad, and have an open mind rather than to bring the baggage of experience to the table and repeat what they do. They're more open to discover. And that connects back to the methodology that we employ and cultivated over 35 years that I really love because I feel everybody should be doing that. We often say to a CEO, you should really get out of the corner office and put the brand in there in order to so everyone can refresh themselves in the vision of tomorrow, what this brand is all about, and see how they fit in and what their part is. Oftentimes, people are doing their jobs in a siloed way, so they don't see the vision, they don't see the big picture. So, our methodology approach is always to reveal. So, over the course of 3 to 5 months, we shape a business and a division and a brand in such a way that it is a natural output of where they should be going. And I love to talk about that. Maybe I'll give you a quick snapshot. We can go into it.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, that's great because I think it would be helpful to everybody because I think individuals, graduates from high school moving on to college, anyone should really can benefit by this. So the first stage is really understand socioeconomic and cultural environment around. See what time of the day it really is. And believe it or not, if you do this and you do this again, you discover more things. So the key is not to make judgments, but how do you do that? I often in the past would say if you take 500 magazines or 100 magazines and you have a goal and you have an objective, if you go through those magazines and you don't read, you don't study, you just use your intuition, what you like and what you don't like. In the backdrop, you have the goal. In the end, you'll have a whole bunch of stuff and you'll be excited about some things and not excited about other things. The next day, the thing that you were excited about, you're no longer excited about, so you remove it. And in the process of negation, what's left is the answer to the goal, to the objective. It always works because everything is around us. We're surrounded by information, answers, but the key is not to make judgments prematurely, to live in the space of uncertainty a little bit longer. So, what we do is we get into a momentum of discovery. So, first is the social, economical, cultural environment. That's one big bucket. Another one is if we are working in an industry, we go outside of the industry into other industries. And the reason for that is it's like peeking in to see what is actually going on in here. And you're like a kid in a candy store. Oh, I want this, I want that. I you see, and that's great because you begin to see with innocent perspective what is emerging, and you begin to cross pollinate between the industries. So that's the second bucket. The third bucket is understanding really the strengths and weaknesses of an organization and what their goals are. And sometimes it's so out of kilter. What they actually do, they're not good at, and what they are good at, they don't do. And what their goals are sort of like goals because they're supposed to have them. And oftentimes the CEO that's supposed to provide the vision is really operating the business in a silo. So no one is giving it the proper direction. So that's important to identify. And the fourth thing, and that's it, is the DNA of the brand, the foundation, the truth, the perceptual truth of the brand, not what we think it is, not what inside the company everybody talks about, but what is it perceptually for real? So when you have those four things and you do it physically, and everything we do is physical. So someone walks in, looks at the left side of the room, and they see the case being made without us doing it because the discovery and the windows that we look into provide enough substantial information that's quantitative, qualitative, and inspirational that gives us pointers. And the holy grail of everything is positioning. If you position yourself, a brand, I graduated from high school, what should I do? Well, you can go where the jobs are, or you can go what you're called to do. You can follow your calling. But what is my calling when I'm busy pleasing people? And 10 years later, I find myself in something that I didn't mean to do, and I don't like it. And it's the same thing with the brand. So positioning. So out of that exercise, we get positioning, ownable position, truthful, substantive, opportunities galore that come from nowhere, come from products, from marketing, from social. Because in this process, the discovery touches on 8 areas that make up every business: marketing, communication, the brand. It's all the same. It's the front of the business. In the front,
Mhm.
they all consist of the same things. How they get populated with conversation, images, environments. So we discover all of that and it feeds us. So the next step is platform because once we have positioning, opportunities, and creative direction, it's the goal of the first phase. And it allows every designer and everybody. And we have a workshop, and the client is amazed because they see things they normally, because they're myopic in their business or in their neighborhood or in their friends. They don't see the world at large, especially physically. So we make a recommendation and it's a workshop and it's called, the result is always the same: positioning, opportunities, exciting because we know where we're going. When you know where you're going, you don't have to take shots. And most companies go to designers or to some for vision. So the goal is for the vision to reveal itself. So the next thing is the platform, the brand platform. And the reason that's powerful, because the platform is the voice of the brand, the aesthetics, the feel. And aesthetics are really important, the beauty of something. So I believe that you have to have a classic appreciation of things that have always been beautiful. In the world of apparel, it would be tradition, classic. So you have to have that. And that's one of the things you cannot learn. I'll tell you another story. I was once a buyer when I was 17, and I would buy these high top shoes. I was the fact I wanted to be cool, I wanted to be recognized. So I would buy the most recent things and and this other guy got all the compliments. And this other guy, I looked at him and he was like, he was 35, I was 18, you know but he got all the credit for looking good. And I couldn't understand. And then what he wore is these like button down shirts and whatever. And I was trying really hard. And a moment I got it. He was really put together at that time with classic foundations, things that were appreciated. A button down shirt, the roll of a collar is meant to be playing with a polo. So everything has history and roots. So every good thing has a foundation. Anyway, so if someone has training in that, you can do anything. Right? Just recently developed a new brand for Off White. Off White is, but you are enabled and equipped to do things when you have a great foundation. So the next thing is platform. And the platform allows you to say what the brand is without the identity necessarily, but the feel of it. So it's always the voice, the attitude, the aesthetic. So it's ownable. And the third phase is all the areas that make up our company, make up the brand: websites, communication, marketing, fully fleshed out. So when someone walks in and the finish of our development, on one side of the room is the case that's made by the market and everything else. And on the other side is the vision of the brand in all the areas versus what others might do, like marketing, and they focus on that. But I believe that everything is integrated, everything has to work together, and everything is seamless, and it should feel like one holistic expression of the brand. Certainly, there is attributes to each area that make up a business, and they are focused independently, but not focused on independency in design and so forth, but they work together. So this methodology we have honed over 35 years. And it's wonderful because it always, in the end, so in the beginning, you feel like, what are we going to do with this one? But we know that in the end, it's going to be great, you know? And the
Mm.
key is to work, to gain momentum, to have people, and to be not stressed out, to be relaxed. It's okay to have passion and be excited. It's okay to feel kind of nervous. It's okay to have a little bit of agi- fear and a little bit of agitation, not agitation, but it's not good to be afraid and act out of fear or act out of defensiveness or grasp and grab. It's good to intuit, to glean, to observe, to have faith, to kind of like, because things happen in the last minute. They always do. But you're setting yourself up for that because you do the work. So even if things don't click, they will click. So that's our methodology and process. So I love it because I don't have to say what I did or what I am doing, what he did, what I think, what, because I have a little head. I have no clue. You know what I mean? It's great when you can be a radar, you can tune in and be a transmitter. And that's all there is. There really is. And it's wonderful. So we worked with, I was, over the years, because I'm an older guy, I've done everything, wholesale, retail, starting up companies for other companies. And then I remember I was a design director at Gap, working with Mickey Drexler. We would work till midnight because that's the way things are. And I said, there's a better way. There's no way to live a life because the changing of the mind showed me that whatever decision you make, if you do it on a whim, it doesn't really work. And I had great deal of respect for Mickey because so we decided to form our own business, and that's how it began in Tribeca. And there we launched a brand. We never intended to be in the service business. But then Nordstrom's came to us, others, and one thing led to another. So now we are a hybrid, there's three divisions. One is branding, which I just talked about. The other one is positioning companies, brands, for taking their equity and sharing it with others and and so that's our incredible business model. Usually form franchising, licensing. It's taking and stretching the brand into other categories. But the difference is you have to own the category. So it's making intangibility of the brand a product that you can monitor. It's really wonderful because then you can manage the aesthetics, the innovation, the products, the way without doing it, without manufacturing, letting people do what they do best. We put Levi's in licensing business, and one of the guiding us, never design a product in the Levi's way, never design any product. Find it authentic, then innovate upon it and make it. So that was one of the rules to a manufacturer that so they did furniture, so that so it applies to every category, those guidelines. So I love doing that. We love doing that. And the third division is ventures because we love to start things up. We never really pay attention to it because we rely on our own cash flow, our own building. It's just the way we're made. I do wish over the years we would have had a financial arm to our business, but we do what we do. We like to work on the reason I love this now, where I didn't think I would, because it's a startup every day. So every day is a startup. Everything is gone, and today is the only day you have. It's a very long day, and you can do anything. What are you going to do? So the other thing that I love sharing, and it may not be appropriate for this time, is a management system that is very simple. To give you a glimpse at it, I have these black books, and it may seem so ordinary. But this is what I call my weekly. And this is what I call my day. It's really important to understand, sit down in the morning and understand what your day is going to look like. It may change, but what are the 6 things you need to accomplish? No more, 6 things. But you write down everything. You say everything. So you have a weekly that's all triggers. You don't need to write down anything. You can just put a word down and you know what that means. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You have your headings. Deals. That's why my favorite heading. Calls, callbacks. So then I look at this and I know my life. On the bottom is my personal, on top is my business. Then my day, sometimes it's important to stay relaxed, you know, because when you relax, you can see. When you're not relaxed, you can't be in the moment because your mind is going a million miles a minute, and you're not really here. You're asleep. So that's the other thing. So having a good management system that you can rely on, windows, triggers, and the third thing is a mindset, which I believe is really important. To take enough time to really reflect, get back to yourself. So you're not reactive. You're not always, you're proactive. So now we are in a time where we are living in a moment right now that is transformative because of AI. We don't know how that's going to end up, but I do know with AI that one value of imperfection is what makes things perfect. AI doesn't know how to do that. So everything is very buttoned up, always, even if it's wrong or incorrect. So what makes humans, what makes us special is when we make mistakes, when we're vulnerable or a little bit off, a little bit like searching, a little bit like that. All those qualities are going to become more important. Things like intuition, insight, instinct, being off, things that don't connect, language that's written but not perfectly. Those are going to be very valuable. It's just like a chef with your life, or being a chef and letting AI being us, enabling us to be that way, because we no longer have to add up 1 plus 1. We don't have to be the keepers of repetitive movements. So we can be maestros. So the only way you're going to be a maestro if you're willing to be vulnerable and make mistakes. Otherwise, the fear is going to not let you do. So this AI thing is, I wish I was younger because obviously it's a huge transformative thing. But so we're living through that now. So the impact of that is huge on the way you do anything because it's rapidly evolving. And then the other thing on the other side is sales. All our business has always been referral and always coming to us. Feel really awkward about being proactive, calling somebody up. We can do this for you. We really don't know how to do that. When they come to us, the value is kept. They're coming to us. The conversation is different, but when I have to go to them, I wouldn't don't know how. But what I'm noticing, I'm more receptive to things that are communication that I know is automated. So the objective now for every business and for us and for everybody is to automate what you can. So you can be freed up to be, the silly you that you are. Automate everything you can. So I feel like now is a time for us to, and I'm not sure what that is, either sell the company or shift or get an operator. I'm not sure. But meanwhile, we're working on great projects with great companies with meaningful results. The other thing is marketing has always been rooted in seducing. That's all it is. Selling you something you don't need. And that's kind of shameful, actually. Life enhancing products are going to, trust is the biggest thing. So, how do you tell the truth and sell it at the same time? How do you do that and be believed? So, one of the issues we are all grappling with, what do you trust? What don't you trust? So that's the challenge of marketing and branding. So, we're going through a time now where individuals and people want to be who they are. They don't want to be the brand. It used to be that you would dress up in a brand and say, that's me. But that's not really you. Now you're waking up to that. So don't tell me what to do. I am who I am. This is a big wake up. But brands are not used to. If you buy this, you'll be cool, sexy, and relevant. Really? No, I'll be cool, sexy, and relevant if I am myself. But who am I? Help me to know myself. Help me to be myself is the new emerging plane of opportunity. So much more can be said about anything and everything, but that's kind of my
Very powerful, dynamic, and experience-filled story. Thanks for sharing, Simon. You said a couple things that I would like to explore a little bit. For how long has G&G been in business?
35 years.
35 years. Okay, so for a lot of agency owners out there that are listening, that are future pacing their success, after 35 years, you mentioned that now you're thinking about selling or bringing in an owner operator.
Yeah, because I believe that the work is what maintains, but it's in the world that's increasingly becoming more crowded. You need to have a voice in the wilderness, so to speak. You need to be proactive. We're not a proactive company, meaning we're proactive, yes, in different ways, but we're not proactive in going after customers. So, I feel like you need to begin to not be the company behind the company. That's our name. Gray and Gustafsson, we are a company behind the company. And so I feel like the next, we're sitting on a gold because the methodology that I was talking to you about is about 100 things that could be one, could be all software on, could be all automated. Everything could be automated. But it could be at a fraction of the price because we're a premium company and more of a bespoke, custom, business. And I believe that's the opportunity, but that takes, it takes will, desire to do that. And we spend desire and will on project, not on ourselves. It's a big lift. It's not so big. I suppose if I wanted to invest and wanted, then I could hand it off. But we're used to doing things ourselves. All the principles are involved. Everything is everyone. The vision for a project is the key, the positioning, and everyone's involved so that everyone can be empowered thereafter. I didn't really answer your question, but I really don't have a rock solid, but talking about it is helps a little bit.
Got it. Yeah. Well, I'm curious because naturally you guys have such a dialed in methodology and process. Why not take that process and be like, all right, team, we're going to do this for us internally and just focus some energy and resources?
That's a great insight. I'm gonna give you an answer. A shoemaker has holes in his own shoes. I don't need to say anymore because to do this for ourselves would require the kind of commitment to ourselves that we like to make through brands. We like to make through
Mhm.
services. And partially, to be honest, is because that's how we get paid. So I think we're at a crossroads where automation is beginning to impact every industry. And that's what needs to be done. And whether we end up doing it, whether we do it with somebody or however way we do it, it's going to happen. But it would be a shame for it not to happen because I do believe that we have systems in place that can be automated that are valuable. So, and part of it is being a little lazy, because when you spend your energy on work, you want to, my favorite thing is to not be busy.
Yeah.
But you're
Got it.
busy when you have deadlines and you have obligations, no stone gets unturned. But when you don't, it's really great to be in the realm of just being, a little bit.
Yeah.
We're too
Yeah.
busy. We're busy. So, the other thing is as the shift that happened after COVID, we're all on Zoom now. And we have offices, nobody goes there.
You have
That tells you
offices in
something.
one of the greatest cities in the world as well.
Yeah, people go there, but they go there to go to dinner or whatever. So we are all becoming familiar, comfortable in a digital space. So we take all digital. We work on a lot of digital projects. We make it physical. It's amazing when you see it physically, because you see it one at a time. I like to see the picture. I really put a big value on stage, what we call stage set, bringing to life. Because when you're in that realm, you can breathe it in. You can look at it more than once. Versus, the goal is to have a soul, to be soulful, to be not just so to pause, to have people, to give people products and brands that they can be inspired by. It's always so. We tend to work with companies like that, but it's wonderful. But there are shortcomings. Sales can be automated, even though, because it's more acceptable now to just get emails. I'm kind of, I see myself being open a little bit more, but I notice I get thousands of emails, hundreds. I'm exaggerating every day. It's like I'll open this one. Sometimes I may take an appointment. I feel bad because these people are all trying, but most of the emails are automated. But I spot the ones that are coming from that have a human touch, and those are the ones that deserve some level of I don't know. The point is everything is in the transitions, transformation.
Mm.
And so what we do is we transform brands. Transform is without losing the DNA of the brand. In a way, the brands are everything because that's the front, and then behind that there's all the things that make it what it is. So it is like a creating life. So
I mean, you have shared so many golden nuggets here for other agency owners. If you had to give one piece of advice for somebody that's trying to reach that 7 or 8 figure mark in their agency, what would it be?
to seek approval because you can lose your soul. When I was a buyer and was 18, I was 18, a kid, I moved very quickly because there's lots of personal stories that are really great. But I remember I had this boss. I was a talented buyer. I was able to look at prints and know what's good and had good instincts. I was in the garment. It was in the garment business because my father was a tailor. I think it comes with, I think it's in my blood. Anyway, she would always give me a hard time. She would always like second guess is this, and I began to try to please her. I would begin to pick the things she would like. Still didn't please her. So I would like try to make her happy. But what happened is I stopped knowing what I liked. I forgot because I kept so much thinking about what she would think that I lost myself. And then one day I was driving in a car in desperation, feeling this incredible amount of stress going to work, sitting there, having to answer to her, not feeling empty. Then I realized it was a moment. I realized I just have to tell the truth. And I began, it was hard, but I remember that moment. So I sat with her and I just, whatever it is that I said, I just said the truth. The fear, there was fear in it. Like, and then it went away, everything, and it just came back like a flood. I knew my instincts were there, my intuition was there. So the advice is to not to lose your soul over and that's really for young people that are in jobs with others that don't empower them, that don't give them the room, that don't. It's a difficulty in our educational system because we're not empowering people to connect with their true source, but with an ego source. So if you want to build your ego, you need validation. If you don't, then if you're, if you're happy, just whether it's contributing or whether it's not, but being that way, that's where power really lies. So be careful not to lose your soul, not to lose yourself because you won't be very happy. You'll be kind of like miserable human being as you live on because you didn't really mean to agree with that. You didn't really mean to love that. Don't say anything. Say it softly. Say it meekly. You don't have to I think this. So if you don't fully agree, patience, wait. Or maybe you're wrong. So consider that. Get in touch with yourself, who you really are. That's more important than anything else. Don't lose yourself to become a mechanical person. So that's my best advice. That's maybe the biggest advice. Yeah, the next thing is just plan your day. It does not always work out like that and get a good night's sleep and just the mornings are the best. Make your envision the day and do the most difficult thing. Don't avoid them. Simple life lessons. We all know that. But in truth, we know it. You know everything you need to know when you need to know it. Remember that because that's true. If you are not lost in your head. And so the last thing I would say is if you can find time to meditate, get still, quiet. That's very helpful.
Simon, I can tell that you've done some meditation. You're a very introspective person. Thank you for all the insights today. Where can anyone listening learn more about you, about G&G, or if they want to talk about any of the topics that we spoke about today? Where can they find you?
Well, my email is simong@ggny.com. My phone number is 917-796-3726. If I don't know the number, I won't take the call, text me. Those are the two ways to reach.
And thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Chris. You're terrific. You pay attention really well. And attention is all we have.
Thank you.
Bye bye.